How would you react if you discovered that your new teammate was half a second faster, in the same car? That is exactly what has happened to Charles Leclerc. Are we facing the technical renaissance of Lewis Hamilton or the beginning of an internal fracture at Ferrari? To understand the true magnitude of the half-second difference between Hamilton and Leclerc, it is essential to go beyond the simple data and delve into the context. Because that gap did not arise in a public session. It did not occur before cameras or with official timers. It originated in closed, controlled, almost secret environments, where pure performance is measured without makeup or media narrative. But then, where exactly was this explosive difference generated? First, you have to look at the Maranello simulator, the digital core where Ferrari prepares every detail before putting a car on the track. Since joining the team, Hamilton has shown an obsessive commitment to the virtual development of the car. He spent hours working with engineers on fine calibrations, data correlation, and highly technical simulations. Not only did he pilot, but he analyzed, gave immediate feedback. And according to internal sources, it was precisely in those simulator sessions where the first signs began to emerge. Hamilton achieved noticeably more consistent and faster times under the same parameters as Leclerc, especially in three key sectors: management of the hybrid system, precision in long braking, and manual activation of the active aerodynamic system. This last point is critical. The SF26 is not a conventional car. Its active aerodynamics require almost perfect synchronization between corner entry, aerodynamic mode change, and electric torque management. And that's where Hamilton made the difference. According to unofficial testimonies, he was able to activate the car's aerodynamic modes with surgical precision at the exact moment the system allows it, something that Leclerc took longer to master. And that translates directly into lap times. But the simulator was not the only scenario. The second chapter of this story was written in Fiorano, during the shakedown on January 23rd. Although only 15 kilometers were allowed by regulation, the sensations of the technical team were immediate. Wet track, suboptimal conditions, but Hamilton rode as if he had known the car for years. Its ability to read low grip, modulate electric power, and control rear axle lateral slip left engineers literally speechless. In those brief laps, he demonstrated an almost instinctive mastery of the SF26's new dynamic balance. Leclerc also rode, but did not generate the same level of adaptation. And that began to leave traces. The third stage was Barcelona, in the official tests prior to the start of the season. Here the narrative is more nuanced. Leclerc rode in dry conditions in the morning and clocked a 1 minute and 20.844 seconds. Hamilton left in the afternoon, with a wet track in mixed conditions, clocking a 1 minute and 33.455 seconds. At first glance, it would seem that Leclerc was faster. But this would be a superficial reading. What happened in Barcelona was not a war of times, but a validation of technical data. The priority was to understand how the car behaved under different conditions, how the active aerodynamic system responded, how the tires degraded with the new combination of reduced mass and intensified hybrid loading. And in that environment, Hamilton was a gold mine for Ferrari. According to internal sources, engineers found that their feedback was not only more accurate, but also more valuable from a development point of view. While Leclerc focused on balanced sensations, Hamilton talked about energy efficiency, directional stability under high lateral load, and optimal pressure windows. That completely changes the technical conversation within a team. So when it is claimed that Hamilton was half a second faster, it is not a figure taken from a single place or from an inspired day. It is the accumulated result of multiple sessions in multiple contexts, with different levels of demand, but always under controlled parameters. And most importantly, it is a clear sign that the SF26, even in its initial phase, responds better to Hamilton's driving style than to Leclerc's. This not only calls into question who will be number one on the track, but who will guide the development of the car for the rest of the season. Understanding why Hamilton is half a second ahead of Leclerc requires looking beyond pure talent. The key is in the technical mastery of the SF26, a car that represents an almost total break with Ferrari's previous philosophies. This car is not only the product of new regulations, but also the symbol of an internal revolution that Ferrari has been silently preparing for years. And in that revolution, Lewis Hamilton has not only fit in, he has taken command. The SF26 is the first single-seater fully designed under the 2026 regulatory framework, which requires a 50-50 energy split between combustion engine and electric power, active aerodynamics instead of DRS, 100% sustainable fuels, and a more compact and lighter design. In this new environment, the driver stops being simply an executor, and becomes an active extension of the car's technical system. Real-time reading of the track, adaptation to aerodynamics modes, management of electrical regeneration and modulation of hybrid torque are no longer optional. They are part of piloting. And that is precisely where Hamilton is making the difference. One of the most disruptive elements of the SF26 is the manual active aerodynamics. Unlike the old DRS, the new system requires the driver to choose the appropriate mode depending on the type of corner, the phase of the lap, and the energy consumption strategy. There are two key modes: straight mode, which minimizes downforce to reduce drag and gain top speed, and curve mode, which maximizes grip for more aggressive steps in technical areas. Hamilton has demonstrated a surgical ability to switch between these modes in real time, anticipating not only the line, but micro variations in temperature, tire pressure, and the car's dynamic balance. This dominance is not accidental. It comes from experience accumulated in years of development with Mercedes, where it already handled complex energy maps, and from a methodical mentality that has been sharpened over time. Ferrari engineers have confirmed, albeit in a veiled way, that Hamilton has been instrumental in calibrating the input parameters for the aerodynamic system. In other words, you're not just using it better, you've helped build the way it activates and responds, but aerodynamics is only part of the puzzle. The SF26 also incorporates a completely redesigned power unit under the internal name of Project 678. The most revolutionary, the use of steel cylinder heads manufactured with advanced additive manufacturing techniques, which allow operation at higher temperatures without penalizing the total weight of the engine. This frees up space to redesign the rear axle, reduces the need for aggressive cooling, and allows for greater compactness of the assembly. Hamilton, accustomed to cars with extreme packaging concepts, has been able to exploit that balance with a more aggressive driving style in mass transfer and corner rotation. Furthermore, the new hybrid system, which dispenses with the MGU-H, is based on ultra-efficient regeneration of kinetic energy through the MGU-K. Electric power has tripled compared to the previous generation, and here too Hamilton takes advantage. Its precision braking allows for more effective regeneration, which gives it extra energy available for corner exit or high-load sections. That is, its piloting not only conserves energy, it generates it strategically. In contrast, Leclerc is still adapting. Its natural style, based on releasing the accelerator earlier and rotating with the front axle in medium-speed curves, does not seem to match optimally with the SF26. In this new car, rotation is not achieved with steering, but with energy transfer, electric torque, and aerodynamic geometry. And that's where Hamilton is one step ahead. Leclerc has been diplomatic in his public statements. He has praised Hamilton, he has talked about mutual learning, collaboration. But in the paddock, gestures don't lie. According to unofficial reports and leaks in the Italian media, the Monegasque driver did not expect to find himself in this position so early in the season. I expected a slower adaptation curve from Lewis, relying on his own experience with the Ferrari environment as a head start. Instead, what he has seen is a teammate who not only adapts with speed, but begins to set the pace of technical development. And that, at Ferrari, changes internal priorities almost automatically. In the first post-test meetings, the team began to pay more attention to Hamilton's comments. Their feedback was more concrete, more actionable. That began to subtly displace Leclerc's voice in certain car tuning decisions. And although officially the hierarchy remains equitable, the trend is clear. When a driver begins to get performance out of a car that has not yet evolved, that driver becomes the new center of gravity of the technical project. This creates a silent but very dangerous problem, because Leclerc is not just any driver. He is someone extremely competitive, emotionally attached to Ferrari, but also with a history of internal frustrations. You have already lived through years of broken promises, strategic errors, and missed opportunities. Your patience is not infinite. And this new scenario in which it could go from being the center of the project to being the undeclared number 2 threatens to erode that relationship. In addition, there is a psychological component that cannot be ignored. In the past, Leclerc has been strengthened when he has had teammates without real capacity for internal pressure. But now he has at his side someone who has defeated champions, who has led projects from chaos to the top, and who does not need to beat Leclerc to be validated. Hamilton doesn't play the same emotional game. He does not compete to assert himself, compete to dominate. And that changes the internal rules of mourning. If this trend continues, Ferrari will face a classic dilemma. Bet on whoever gives them the best data, or maintain the emotional stability of its most emblematic driver. History says that Maranello rarely handles those types of situations well. And when the internal fire begins to grow, performance on the track almost always suffers. It is no longer just a matter of tense. It's a question of narrative control within the team. Let me know in the comments what you think about all this.